Well, we all knew it would come to this, so let's talk about it. On January 18th, 2026, my podcast channel, Blame the Algorithm, that I run with friends, was maliciously attacked by what multiple creators have now described as a serial copyright abuser. This person's name, and I'm confident in saying his name because he has repeatedly and publicly stated that he doesn't have to hide his face or his real name because he's not a coward, is frankly Cheech Camboletta. This name is also publicly stated on his public Facebook. On screen now, you can see that this page is in fact public, and therefore any privacy strike based on this information will appear to be a false privacy claim. We can also see his many LLCs and YouTube channels. The one we need to focus on is Shift Pictures LLC. This is the LLC that filed the takedown on the Blame the Algorithm video, allegedly over a thumbnail. Though many of us have speculated that this was in fact an attempt to silence discourse about the repeated striking of Side-Eye Guy's channel. Now, since then, Beardo Gets Scared has been privacy struck again, Side-Eye Guy has been struck again, and a channel completely outside the paranormal space, e.g. Lately, has also received a privacy strike, simply for covering these issues. YouTube, you have to do better. Your broken copyright and privacy enforcement system is being weaponized to silence people who dare to speak up about this injustice. What has happened repeatedly to Side-Eye Guy, Beardo Gets Scared, e.g. Lately, Truth or Demons podcast, and now even my own podcast, Blame the Algorithm, is an injustice. And your lack of movement on this issue is tantamount to facilitating it, because this alleged serial abuser now believes that they can get away with it. The copyright system exists to protect creators from actual theft. It was meant to be a shield. It was not meant to be subverted to silence fair use, critical commentary, education, or criticism. What appears to be happening here is that this individual who is wielding the copyright system as a sword when it is meant to be a shield. Now, I want to introduce something extremely important here. Because of everything you are about to see comes from publicly accessible pages and posts. Nothing here is private. Nothing here is obtained illegally. The screenshots are shown here for documentation and transparency. On the screen now is a public enforcement notice shared by Frankie Cheech Camboletta titled Shift Films and Affiliated Brands Intellectual Property Notice. In this post, we see a centralized enforcement structure covering Shift Films Pictures, Shift Films LLC, Haunted Garage Reloaded, High Gear Network, BTV Podcast, Confessions of a Haunted Doll Mom, Graveyard Shift Products, and several others. This establishes a coordinated enforcement policy across multiple brands and entities. The post also states, "We do not provide warnings or informal resolution. Unauthorized use will result in immediate enforcement action." So let me be very clear here. This is not a system designed for resolving misunderstandings, correcting accidental use, or protecting against theft. This is a system designed for immediate takedowns as a first response. Repeated copyright strikes, repeated privacy strikes, multiple unrelated creators are all covering the same subject. It raises a very serious question. Is this enforcement being used to protect intellectual property, or is it being used to silence criticism and control discourse? Now, I want to add one more piece of critical context. This comes from a personal friend of mine who is a licensed attorney. And what he pointed out is not opinion. It's federal law. Under 17 USC section 512F, anyone who materially misrepresents facts in a DMCA takedown request, meaning they file a strike in bad faith, can be held legally liable. This statute exists specifically to address false or abusive copyright claims. Additionally, in Lenz v. Universal Music 2015, the Ninth Circuit held that anyone submitting a copyright takedown must first consider fair use before filing that takedown. In other words, if a person files a copyright strike without honestly considering whether it's fair use, they may constitute bad faith misrepresentation under federal law. Now, I want to be very clear here. I'm not making any legal conclusions here. I'm simply pointing out the law and the pattern that now exists. And the question that naturally flows is this: were these takedowns filed after a good faith consideration of fair use, or were they filed as a tool to silence criticism? By filing the formal DMCA counter notification on the Blame the Algorithm podcast, I was legally required to provide my full name, my phone number, and my home address to the claimant, Frankie. This is part of the DMCA process, but when the person on the other side of the process has already been accused by multiple creators of alleged doxing, an alleged blackmailing, and a serial abuser of YouTube's reporting systems, that creates a serious safety concern for myself. Because now I have to ask how long before my private information is released as well. Because if this system is allowed alleged serial abusers to repeatedly file strikes and automatically receive private information on the people that they target, then this is no longer just a copyright issue. This is a creator safety issue. So I want to say, dear commenters, subscribers, viewers, please do not go to this person's social media pages. Do not harass them. Please do not attempt to sow chaos or disharmony. I give my full permission for this video to be downloaded and re-uploaded, so it may further spread through the community and help stem the tide of this abuse. Tag it on X at Team YouTube if you need to. Thank you all very much, and I bid you good night.